This October, the wrong station celebrates a decade of dread. You can read the show notes to discover terrible new ways to celebrate with us. Today's episode, Mama Cat Voice, is written and performed by Anthony Botelho.
I love cats. Always have. I don't have a cat at the moment. I haven't really had a cat since I was a kid. But I do a lot of volunteering at a local shelter. Fostering, catch chip release, rescues, things like that. Rescues especially. I'm kind of like the shelter's secret weapon for those. I don't know what it is. I don't hear it. But apparently I do the best mama cat voice out of anyone on the team. Mama cat voice? A stray kitten is stuck in a car's undercarriage or under a porch, or it's hiding from you somewhere in an old building, and you need to get it out. And to coax it, to make it feel safe, you do like a mama cat. You're telling it, it's okay, come on out. Or maybe more like, get out here this instant. Probably a bit of both. I wonder about that sometimes. What the kitten is actually hearing when we do that. We don't know what we're actually saying. It's just taking a certain tone, making a facsimile of a sound, and hoping the right intent comes across. But anyway, it's not always easy. It's really fucking hard sometimes, actually. You get attached to a cat you're fostering, to a litter. You see some of them go through the shelter carousel over and over. Sometimes you take care of an older cat and make the end of its days as good as you can. And sometimes they just get sick. Last August was very tough. It's not important that you know exactly why, simply that some things happened in my life, and I was between fosters, and suddenly the apartment just felt so empty. So I needed to get away from the city for a weekend. It was an impromptu plan, but there was a camping spot free up by Bruce Peninsula, so I grabbed my gear, loaded the car, and headed up north on Friday night. I wasn't sure if going alone was the best plan, or if it was what I needed. But it seemed better than being alone at home, at least. It was just about sunset when I got there, and I finished putting up my tent in the dark. Tired and sad, threw down a mat, rolled inside, and dreamed uneasy dreams. The wind was strong that evening. It scratched and whispered through the trees all night. But the sounds weren't unpleasant. The next day was okay. Very slow, very quiet. As much as possible, anyway. The camping sites are usually fully booked that time of year. But yeah, I made some breakfast and coffee, washed the dishes. The water was very, very cold. But I liked how cold it felt. Took a long walk through the trails. Almost got lost at one point, but managed to find my way back onto the right path. It was nice to be out of town, but, clearly it wasn't going to be this magical cure for what I was feeling. Which was especially clear that night, as I just sat there and stared into the fire. The wind was blowing strong again. It carried through the dead, dry woods in an eerie way. Eerie, but soothing. I looked up. I'd been drifting off. Not good when you're tending to a fire alone. So, not wanting to be responsible for burning down Ontario, I doused it and decided to call it a night. But sleep didn't come. I just tossed and turned for hours, thinking about the cats and that empty apartment and being afraid about the future. At some point, I just started to quietly cry in my tent.
It's okay.
I stopped, not sure what I'd just heard. I sat up and wiped my eyes, tried to get my breathing under control. I listened closely. That scratching sound of the wind. It was probably nothing, I thought. Maybe an owl, or an opossum, or some kids up later than they ought to be. But there was no sign of light. And if it was an animal, maybe it was because I'd left some food out before zipping up the tent. I poked my head out just to check. I shone my flashlight at the picnic table, but there was nothing there. I held my breath and listened again. No footsteps, no voices coming from the other sites around me. Still just that scratching sound, strangely rhythmic. And then my stomach dropped, because there were no leaves blowing, no cool breeze on my skin. The wind was dead, but still I heard that. I swung the light around wildly, trying to find. I didn't know what. It was coming from there. No, there. Where was.
It's okay.
There. The shape of something. A person? Did they need help? Or maybe they'd heard me in my tent and were saying it to me. I took a step closer to get a better view. A large, rough outline behind the trees. Jagged edges, dull orbs that didn't quite catch the light. And, in clearer focus, a huge hand with long digits curled around a tree trunk, scratching at the bark in a repetitive, almost hypnotic fashion, and scoring the tree deeply so that the glistening sap bled freely. I ran for the car. I could hear it shifting behind me, deadwood snapping at a heavy plod. I got inside and locked the door, fumbled for the ignition in the dark. The car roared to life, and I floored it. But my car didn't move. The tires were screeching, and I could just make out the terrible grating of something sharp being dragged across metal. I knew it had me, that it had the car in its grip. I shouldn't have had to look. But slowly, my eyes drifted up to the rearview mirror to confirm it, to see what the taillights had illuminated. Orange-yellow eyes, the size of dinner plates, with milky, soulless black pupils, and a set of pointed teeth the size of my hand, arranged in a smile on a broad, wizened face, like an old woman's face, or an old man's, with the huge features and loose, saggy skin stretched, taut, across a skull the size of a beach ball.
It's okay.
I shifted gear to 4 and put all my weight on the pedal. And by some miracle, I pulled away with a slice and a spray of sparks. Almost went right into a tree before I wrestled the wheel under control. And I drove all the way back to the city without stopping once. I've never told this story before. People asked about the damage to my car, of course, and I spun some tale about a maniac driver on the country roads. It's not that I don't think anyone will believe me. I don't think that thing was speaking English, that it was capable of speaking any human tongue. I think it was just making a facsimile of a sound in a certain tone and hoping that the right intent came across. And it came close, because before I saw that claw, that face, what it really wanted, I almost went to it. Like a scared little animal going to mother. I almost went to it. The Wrong Station is made possible with the generous support of our listeners on Patreon. Join us today at patreon.com/The Wrong Station for bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, ad-free listening, and additional goodies celebrating our decade of dread. The Wrong Station is co-produced by Alexander Saxton, Anthony Botelho, and Jacob Duarte Spiel, with music composed and performed by Alon Citrin, and arranged for the viola and performed by Viola Schmidt. You can follow us on social media at The Wrong Station, or email us at thewrongstation@gmail.com. And until next time, thank you for listening.